All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages. When you're working on the marriage, but your wife isn't. So, common issue I hear from guys that come in that I talk to or hear from. So, we're going to learn what you do about that today. What's effective, what's not effective, how you can be more effective in helping your wife be more engaged, and attitudes that cause problems here. So, my name is Mike Frazier, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach. I help high achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So, weekly wins. These are from guys in my program, Strong Men, Strong Marriages. Guys are having increased communication and connection with their wives, just getting to more intimacy, like having the bravery to have these tough conversations instead of walking on eggshells. It's so fun to see. You guys are breaking through old traumas. Guys are like, man, just like having these amazing connections, mental, emotional, physical. It's so fun to see. A specific example from one of the gentlemen, he says, this is week 1, so just starting the program. Things were going great this week. I learned empathic listening. I connected deeper with my wife than I think I ever have. So cool, right? You build that mentally emotional intimacy. She showed physical affection with kissing and hugging. Okay. This is typically how it goes. When you build mental emotional connection, physical affection often follows. I felt full for once and didn't need to come to her for a kiss. She actually came to me for a kiss or a hug. This is huge for me. It is huge, guys, because this is the core of what we talk about here, right? With the mosquito cycle, you're needy. You need her to give you a hug and a kiss. And so she doesn't like that. Where when you're actually full and you're connecting and you feel good, she actually wants to be around you. She approaches you for that hug and kiss. Okay. It's happening. Okay. It's happening to guys every week because they come in and do the work. And I'd love for you to come. Visit strongmenstrongmarriages.com and apply. So another gentleman shares, I'm learning to control my emotions better. My 13-year-old son is following my example. I see him using the techniques I've learned and taught him from the program. The whole vibe in our house has changed over the last 2 weeks, especially between my wife and I. She seems softer and more friendly, and I feel genuinely happy. Guys, I love reading these wins. This can be you. Okay, it can be you. For me, this week, my relationship with my kids has been a lot better lately. I've just been focusing more on the game. I've shared kind of some episodes about that, about just seeing the good in them, appreciating that good, and it's just helping a lot, telling them I love them a lot more. Um, Again, I'm kind of testing each day. Would this be a last day I would want my family to remember me by? And that's been huge for me, a great mindset for me. I've done a good job this week serving Elizabeth, and she's been initiating physical touch a lot more. It's just been a great week for me. And like I shared, if you were listening last week, we had like a fight last week on our date night, but it turned into more connection, and it can if you learn the skills, right? Okay, so coming back to this idea, well, hey, Mike, yeah, well, you're saying all this, but these guys' wives, they're working on the marriage, and my wife's not. Okay, so right now, if that's your situation, you're probably trying to convince your wife to, maybe you're trying to convince her to do therapy or counseling or coaching or something like that. Or maybe you're just like, I just want you to do something. I want you to show me I'm important. I want you to, you know, give me more hugs. I want you to have sex with me more. A lot of guys jump to that. Okay, show me I'm important by having sex with me. But what they don't understand is that that's not really what you want. You don't want your wife forced into physical affection. You don't want her to feel like, okay, well, if I don't do this, he's going to fall apart. So I guess I have to go give him a hug. Okay, that doesn't turn her on. She doesn't like that. So when you ask that, even if she starts doing it, it's not coming from a place of real attraction because you're actually not being attractive. Okay, you got to take care of that first. So the other thing you might be feeling like is feeling like you're already doing more than her in regards to the marriage. So most of the guys I talk to believe this. They have this as a core belief. Like, man, if my wife would work as hard as me on the marriage, we'd be doing great. Because look, I'm listening to this podcast, I'm reading these books. My wife doesn't do anything. Okay, that's the mindset that they have. So, you know, so yeah, they're just like, man, look at everything I do. This. Let me list everything out. What's she doing? Nothing, right? She's not making any effort. That's how these guys feel. And then sometimes maybe even tell your wife this. Hey, look at everything I'm doing. This, but you're not doing anything. You're not seeing a counselor. You're not listening to podcasts. You're not reading books. You're not trying to do anything to make our marriage better, right? Typically, what happens is you say something like this to her, and what it results in is her telling you, everything that she is doing. She's like, okay, yeah, I'm not doing this. Well, look what everything I'm doing. Or maybe she's just like, yeah, I guess you're right. But then she doesn't really change anything. Or she's going to point out everything that you're doing that's a problem. Okay, yeah, you're listening to those podcasts, but it doesn't seem to be helping. Look at all the stuff that you're still doing that's negative. Then you're like, well, at least I'm trying. And she's like, well, so am I, but you're not changing. It just turns into a mess. So why does this not work? The reason it doesn't work is because you're coming at this from a superior perspective. Basically, your whole mindset is, I'm better than my wife. Okay. Like, I'm working harder than my wife. I'm putting more effort in than my wife. Right. I'm better than my wife. One up mindset from David Schnarch, right? So it's basically like, I'm a better spouse than you are because I'm willing to work on things more than you, or I'm willing to work on them and you're not. So you can feel superior to her. You feel resentful towards her for not really wanting to do anything. You're basically attacking her. And when you attack somebody, it makes them defensive. Okay. So again, what she'll probably do is say, well, yeah, you think I'm not doing anything? Look what I am doing. I'm still in the marriage. I haven't filed for divorce. I'm, you know, still doing stuff for the kids. I do this, this, this. And you're like, well, yeah, you're not making me a priority, And then she's like, well, look, you don't make me a priority either. Here's the stuff that you're missing. And it just goes back and forth. And you end up more disconnected from each other, both upset. The hard part is you both end up feeling justified at the end of it. Because you're like, well, look, I'm still doing all this stuff and she still won't do anything. And she's like, yeah, you're reading this, but you're a hypocrite because you're not applying any of it. So yeah, and so you're saying, look, see, she doesn't do anything. And she's saying, see, look, whatever I do, it's not good enough for you. Or he's not seeing anything that I am doing. Okay, so you both end up feeling justified in your positions when you come from this attacking kind of mindset. So what do you do instead? So it's really the processes of the strong men, strong marriages system. So number one, you need to identify and eliminate your negative, unattractive patterns that you have. So this whole mindset of thinking that you're doing more than your wife, it is 100% a negative, unattractive pattern. And it probably is running through a lot of your marriage. Like with money, you think you are smarter than her with money, with sex. So, I'm willing to, she's not. With parenting, I'm putting more effort in, or whatever, right? There's probably lots of places where you're taking the superior mindset. The problem is this takes you from keeping ownership of the things that are making her lose attraction to you. Okay. So what we have to do is find all these negative patterns, right? Figure out how these are impacting her, seeing how this superior mindset is really damaging to the marriage and really not who you want to be, not a Christ-like mindset, really. So you've got to figure out all the things you're doing that are problematic. Okay. And we've got to clean them out. So this is phase one of the Strong Men, Strong Marriages program. We look and we find all these negative things. You apologize for them to kind of reset things. So phase two is we have to replace those negative patterns with positive, attractive patterns. So we need to replace that mosquito cycle with service. That's what one of the guys shared. He's like, I'm doing some of the same things, but it's just my intentions have changed. The thoughts and feelings behind it have changed. Okay. Because look, like, it's not a wrong thing to ask your wife to do something, to go to counseling together, to make a meal, to, have sex more often. Although that one, again, like, you have to understand that you need to be attractive first for her to want to have sex with you. Okay. So, but replacing that mosquito cycle with like genuine service, that's what guys have been able to do. It just feels better, right? That you're not doing this and really expecting something back, but just doing it because you love your wife. Again, the paradox is when you do it that way, she's a lot more likely to give you attention, appreciation, affection, and sex because she knows there's not strings attached. Okay. So we replace that, right? The other big thing we do is we replace resentment with empathy and compassion. So one of the guys I was talking to this week, and a lot of guys, this is similar, right? They come in very resentful towards their wife. They feel like, man, look at everything I'm doing. She's not doing anything. They feel angry. They feel resentful. And then they're surprised that their wife doesn't want to like be around them or jump in bed with them. But like, people don't like being around people who resent them and are angry at them. Okay, so we need to start replacing that with actual genuine empathy, compassion, love for our wife. Okay, when we start really feeling those feelings, again, we feel better and she's more attracted to us. Okay, we need to replace objectifying sexual advances, or kind of like, hey, like, it's been a while now, like it's time, that kind of thing, which really shows a mindset of you owe me sex and treating her like an object. Replace that with attractive sexual advances, where you're just showing genuine love and wow, I'm so attracted to you, you're so amazing, right? women respond to that. They like that. They don't like being told that they owe you sex, either directly or indirectly. Okay, that's a killer for sexual attraction. So again, so we've got to identify the negative, replace it with the positive, and then we practice, right? We repeat those new patterns until we can't get them wrong. There's a process of behavior change that we go through. So you're going to see, man, if you come into the program, right, you're going to see, man, I do have a lot of negative patterns. And then what you're going to do from there is identify the new ones. But then there's a process, right? So in phase one, you're just like recognizing you even have a bad pattern. Okay. And then in phase two, you start catching it, but you start catching it after it happens. So you're like, man, I feel like I'm going backwards, but really you're not. Like you're identifying, okay, yeah, I was in the mosquito cycle again, or yeah, I was resentful again. Yeah, that's not great. So then you start catching it while it's happening. Like in the moment, you're like, okay, yeah, I see it happening right now. Okay. Then you start catching it kind of right before it happens, which is great because like, oh, I'm about to go into mosquito cycle, or oh, I'm about to objectify her, or oh, I'm about to go into resentment. And then you kind of shift that pattern. And then eventually it's a new habit, right? And you don't go into that anymore, right? Or at least very rarely. So that's the behavior process. It doesn't happen immediately. And the way we speed it up is by doing this practice, right? These mental rehearsals that we help you create and practice every day in the program. So now you're in a strong spot, right? You are feeling good. You've replaced your negative patterns. You're in a good spot. So now phase three is you have to ask for what you want effectively. So you need to identify, what does working on the marriage actually mean to you. It sounds really nice. Say, oh, like I'm working way harder on the marriage than my wife. Some people are going to sympathize with you. Oh yeah, man, that's hard. Yeah, that's got to be tough. Um, but if you come to me, I'm just going to tell you that mindset is annoying to your wife. It's not going to get you what you want. Okay. So, but you need to identify, what does that actually mean? Okay. So when I'm working with a client, right, I'm just like, okay, what does it actually mean to work on the marriage? Well, what you need to do, be specific, find some stuff that actually means, well, she needs to go to therapy. But the other thing that I ask them with that is, okay, but what's the outcome you want from therapy, for coaching, right? Sometimes maybe that's necessary, but also sometimes if you just identify, well, actually I really just want her to like make meals more often, just ask for that instead of asking her to go to therapy, right? We need to help you identify what you actually want. What does working on the marriage mean? What does prioritizing actually mean? So if you're like, my wife never prioritizes me, okay, so vague, so general, there's no way she can even, that's not even a request, you didn't even ask for anything. Okay, again, complaining versus requesting, they're two different things. But figuring out, what would it mean for her to prioritize me? What would be different day to day? What am I actually asking for here? Okay. So you need to take the time to figure that out and then ask for it effectively. Okay. Clearly, with a clear plan, with a reason why. That's how you ask for things. So, and then phase four. Okay. So you clean yourself up. You become a good choice for her, right? That's phase one and two, really. And then phase three, you're like, okay, I'm in a good spot. I'm a good choice. Let me ask my wife for the things that I would like, right? And then phase four is decide what you'll do if she doesn't meet those requests, okay? Because look, you know, there are guys who come in where their wife's been unfaithful, for example, and that's hard, right? And guys still want to make the marriage work, but they also need to understand, okay, like I need to identify my stuff. I also need to ask for what I want, and then I need to decide, is this someone that I want to be with or not? There's not a right or wrong answer there. You may choose to stay with your wife kind of no matter what, and that can be a win for you, and that's great, right? But understand you're choosing that, okay? And that's fine. But then also figure out, okay, like under what circumstances would I not choose her? Are there circumstances during that? So got to figure that out, right? So that you're actually owning your choice. So this is the process, right? This is the process we go through in Strong Men, Strong Marriages. Become a great choice for her, ask for what you want, decide if you choose her or not. That's basically it. And this is the only way that you create a strong, passionate marriage. There's not another way to do it, I promise. So if you think you're doing more than your wife, in summary, you're going to feel resentful, you're going to feel angry. Okay. And that feeling is going to drive her away, make her defensive, and make her less willing to work on the marriage and less attracted to you. Okay. So that whole mindset is problematic. Instead, what you have to do, you got to identify and eliminate your negative, unattractive patterns. You got to replace them with positive patterns. You got to repeat those until you can't get them wrong so that you are a great choice. Then you need to ask clearly for what you want, and then decide what you're going to do if you don't get that from your wife. Okay, that's the process. So come and do it with us. Come join us in Strong Men, Strong Marriages. Okay. Visit strongmenstrongmarriages.com and apply now. We're going to look through it, tell you your best next steps. All right, men. So stay strong. Again, I'd love to have you work through this process with us. Stop thinking your wife's doing not enough, right? And really take leadership and figure out the things you're doing that are unattractive first, fix those, then ask for what you want, then decide what you're going to do, right? If your wife isn't willing to do the things that you want. Okay. So come join us, strongmenstrongmarriages.com. Step into strength. Let's do this. Stay strong, men. See you next episode.